But, there you go. Would make more vacuum. You can actually eat them if you want.
Dewey's thinking about it.
Dewey's thinking about it. Dewey will eat it. He don't care. It's not something that is made to stick basically no matter what. It's made to wear away if touched. Alrighty, I told you in the last video that we got the stuff back from line to line. So let's check this stuff out, because I'm gonna put the pump back together and then do a bench test to run. I should be able to run anything through it to seat it all in, because I'm gonna put it back together with new O-rings, seals if needed, stuff Peterson sent me there. So let's take a look at this thing, and we'll actually just tear it apart so you can look at it. So let's get after that. But first, let's go look at the turbos, and we'll kind of see how this thing all went. This is going to be a little interesting too. Now, common question. Let's answer some common questions. Can you put this on the exhaust, inside the exhaust side? No. Is this a heat coating? No. This is a abradable coating. For guys that don't really understand yet, or don't know yet, abradable coating means that it fits itself. So you could probably take a razor blade knife, and if you kept working on it, you could just keep on scraping it off, and you just could scrape it all the way off. Okay, it's soft enough here. They did a special deal for me on the turbos. Soft enough that the turbo, anywhere the turbo blade would touch it, it would just go shave it off. Think about like a potato peeler. All right, carrot peeler. You ever seen a carrot peeler, Nate?
Mm-hmm.
All right, like that. Okay, it's gonna peel it right off, and then that would be the perfect clearance. It would be 0, and then it goes down a track and it's doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and might shave off a little bit more. Don't care. The engine is not gonna care if it eats it or not. It will not care if it eats it or not. We're going to get it to the point where it's not going to do it. It would probably only do it one time anyways. But let's take a look at it, what everything looks like here. Of course, they packed it with peanuts, so that's going to be messy.
Now, you talked a lot about running condition. So
yes,
that stuff down track where
yes, so running condition. So we'll talk about that in the pump. It's like, yes, you could put plastic gauge in there. People wanted to use plastic gauge, and then you would measure the plastic gauge. Okay, that's not how it runs when it's under pressure, under RPM. Okay, 9,000 engine RPM, 4,500-ish, 4,000 or 4,500 to 5,000 RPM. Pump speed at pressure, at over 100 psi of oil pressure. What are the rotors really doing in there? Okay, that's what we're talking about. This is going to take up that clearance, and in the same time, it will wipe off because the rotors are going by each other. So it would just wipe off anything that's excess and leave anything that wasn't excess. That's what we're talking about doing. It's not about measuring it. It's not about EDM cutting it. That's all stuff we're building a CAD program and making it, and it's going to be this. Well, guess what? Doesn't end up that way. Doesn't end up that way when it's running. Same thing with turbos. So running condition, that's what this thing is all about. Oh, man. At least these are the starch peanuts, where they're just starch, corn starch. You can actually eat them if you want.
Dewey's thinking about it.
Dewey's thinking about it. Dewey will eat it. He don't care. All right, so let's bring this over here. So it's not a thermal coating. It will burn off. It is not a real high heat coating. And it is actually, it's just lightly touching right now, because normally that would turn over better. So what we're going to do is, for the turbo braking, feel that. Oh, right there. That has really gotten quite a bit tighter up here. So they have been doing this in turbos already, especially even for OEM turbos, and have tested with the OEMs. with, you know, in 100-hour cycles of getting that all in there. Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm actually spinning it. And says that it's been really good. They see improvement, has hundreds of hours of cycle time through it as they're testing it to OEMs on stock small turbo stuff, and doesn't hurt the turbo blades because it will just come right off. Now, you know, and we'll do this slow and easy, you know, running, idling, getting up temperature, then two-step stuff, RPM, do a few RPM cycles, make sure to get it hot, that everything grows and expands to what it would normally be at. And then it will, undoubtedly, it will be, you know, grinding some of this stuff off. But I think what we'll do is when I put these on, I'll leave the tubes disconnected for the first startup. So the thing is just, we'll get some turbo RPM. So it'll be unloaded RPM, which will be different. That's the whole deal, okay? It won't be exact, but it will be RPM. But RPM versus loaded RPM, when this compressor wheel has load against it, because remember, it's trying to kick boost pressure out this way. So there is actual physical back pressure this way. So it's going to go as it's trying to turn, okay, at high speed. Not because of the coating, because that's the nature of the turbo. That's why there's all this clearance. That's why they touch down when the bearings go bad. So, dog's over there. You should see, Christmas is like the best box day ever for a dog. Yeah. All right, let me grab some tools and we'll start taking this stuff apart and take a look at this thing real quick. Well, there we go. Now there is the coating. Now again, a braidable coating. This is not a straight out Teflon coating. It's not something that is made to stick basically no matter what. It's made to wear away if touched. It's just made to fill, let's think of it this way. It's made to fill a empty air gap. It's not meant to protect anything from touching down. It's not meant to do any of that kind of stuff. It's meant to take up a gap. Think about it that way. I can't really feel what it feels like here. It is rolling over and doing a nice job there. It feels like from this area right here, feels like maybe 10 thousandths. That's what I would say that it feels like. It's probably about 10 thousandths thick, that coating right there. So they have tightened up this whole area. It is basically the goal is it's going to contour itself under running condition if this blade moves a little bit, which they do, okay? Under load, nothing is stationary when it's in a running condition. So stuff moves, grows, the bearing moves in, out. All of this, it is gonna not be exactly this shape because this shape is probably not this exact shape when it's running. Okay, I know we keep on harping on that, but that was people's #1 question really was, you know, they didn't understand this abradable coating. All right, so pretty interesting there. Not heat resistant. There's nothing you can do on the turbine side. You're not going to have anything that stays in there that takes up that area. This is the really ultra lightweight. If you remember, these turbos are 16 pounds lighter than my previous turbos, a piece, because of this unobtainium exhaust housing here. Still really excited about that whole deal. Pretty darn neat. So anyways, that's going to be interesting. Got that all apart, and we're just going to start this up and like get some constant RPMs to get some turbo speed up in it. I think that's going to go blow out like a little mist of smoke, like a little dust. So we'll kind of get it all preset like that, at least get some RPM to it, and it won't be the same as under load. And the only way I can get it under load is to put boost pressure on it. You can't just freewheel it. So in order to get boost pressure on this side and this, or boost pressure on this side, turbine pressure on this side, it has to be all connected and running. So
after it's running, do you think we could take the housing off and?
Oh yeah, then we'll take a look at it, yeah, and see what it did, and it'd be really pretty interesting because I mean everything is tight and nice and right. I like that. It looks like it had eaten a little bit of something here, anyways. A couple little dingers up here. I might hit those with a little stone just for the sake of doing it, but it ate something. This stuff, I mean, there's nobody that has turbo filters on these things, a fine mesh filter to get the smallest piece of debris, you know, some miscellaneous thing. Oh, no, my hand's all black, can't see it there. Some miscellaneous debris like that. Nobody runs filters on it going down the racetrack. So just imagine there's stuff flying around in the air. If there's never a car ahead of this one, but if there was a car ahead of this one, they could kick up a rock off the track and the turbo could eat it. I mean, it just is what it is. I showed you where the when we were driving this at Norwalk, that it during that event, that it came back and the tree that it parked under dropped a whole clump of leaves and sticks and everything right down the turbo inlet. It's like, what the heck?
Is there a way you could put a filter on during the drive portion at least?
Yes, yes, it can be. I don't ever bother doing that. It's like,
Yeah.
so, you know, hey, it's 99.9% of the time there's nothing. I've already run this several hundred miles. You know, it did eat something at some point in time, but not a big deal. Let's get after the pump here real quick, and we'll put this together, and we're going to spin this. And I think I can just do it in, at least to get that preset with everything put together. We'll see how they did this. All right, so they have kind of pre-run this, and like right now it is pretty darn tight, which is what I would expect it to be. This is pretty darn tight because as it starts to move and run, it's going to get looser. All right, so I got to put all the O-rings and everything back in it. Now, I don't have everything all pieced together yet. Now, obviously, this is my running pump that came off the car. This is, I cannot feel any depth, but that would just be normal wear just from the rotor. Actually, Peterson told me that they try to put 3 thousandths of clearance in here. They don't try, they do. They put 3 thousandths of clearance in between this end cap, any of the end caps, and the rotors. So there wasn't a bunch of material to put there, that's for sure. Oh yeah, so you take this out. All right. You can already see just from turning it over, can you see the shiny?
Mm-hmm.
Where it touches. Interesting that it does. This is what we were talking about, is it touches this back ridge here. I don't know if you can see that, but you see this area right here is shiny. Shiny because it's already touching, and this whole ledge right here is shiny because that is like the drive side, and then the back side is not. So that's shiny there. So all these areas right here, this whole little scoop area here, any area that is not making any drive contact or clearance contact, it's going to be filling. So I think that is pretty cool. Try to get this all back in the exact same order as it came off, and hopefully they didn't lose my keys. Pretty sure they wouldn't have. All right, this is the rag I tore everything apart on. So there's my keys. Throw this thing away. Then this one comes off. This body comes off. Go right there. Then I take the next set of gears out of it. And there's the key. There's 2 keys, 2 Woodruff keys on each drive gear. This gear here, oops, sorry. This gear here is just a spinner. It's driven by this one, which has got a keyway groove in it. Okay, so I had one of my channel members asked about, isn't there supposed to be a oil film in between the rotors? Yes. So when it is touching, it would be, you know, that's a, you know, I'd have to kind of think about how to explain that right. It is going to touch, and to a certain extent, the coating actually will also squish. So let's imagine this thing is really super tight, and it can't even get a wedge of oil through there. Now keep in mind, this is like the piston skirt, so we put this on piston skirts, make it tight. The cylinder bore, which is always coated in oil, if it didn't have oil on it, it would just immediately gall the piston skirts, right? So it has oil on it, and that friction of in between the oil film and the barrier still wears away that upgradable coating. Also, it has a little bit of squish. So if this thing was like super freaking tight, it would just wear itself away. And I think us doing this initial dry, this one's different because it is dry. The initial dry will probably do something there. As far as wet sumps, if it's for a wet sump, here there were some comments below on the other video that some guys were doing this on their Coyote pumps, and it really helped out a lot. Helped out with pressure, noise, and wear and tear. All right, so now this is the bypass section of the pump. Putting on new O-rings, because once these old O-rings come out of the groove, they are about and freaking possible to get all back together again. All right, so this goes like here. Bing. What you have to do is you have to get these 2 keyways in here, and dang it, you drop this stuff and the dog eats it, then you're screwed.
We would never do that.
You can see right in there, I have it. There's 2 keyways just like this, and they fall out like freaking crazy. So you can, I'm not sure if you can see it in there. You can see the groove. I have it on one. So now we got to get it on this other one. And then slide the rotor on it without pushing the key out. Okay, then we put our driven gear on there. There we go. Okay. And it's going to be hard to turn over, I can tell you that right now. Woodruff key slots. Bingo. Now, if you guys are concerned about me not putting this thing together with oil, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna, I'll put oil in here. It gets oil, trust me. Won't be a big deal. As I turn it over, and then I'm actually thinking about using my solvent tank, because the solvent tank is the braidable coating doesn't care, and it would be a little cleaner, easier than just trying to cycle a bunch of oil through it. It might be a little tougher to do, so something a little thinner. And there's a lot of oil. It's oil based anyway, so. Yeah, I think if, that's what I was saying, if I didn't have the chance, but all right, so it actually turns over with my hand, so that's okay. Tight, like very tight. Let me get a proper size bolt, everything, and we'll go over to the solvent tank. I'll put some oil in it, and we'll cycle that through it first, just to go back and forth and cycle it, get some in there. And then I'm just gonna keep thinking about what I want to do it. All right, so I changed my mind. It's like, okay, I think, and Nate brought it up, I'll just fill up this bucket and we'll keep the whole pump in there. It's hard to do. It's hard to hold everything, so it's gonna be messy. So I'm gonna use our Driven 70 weight oil. This is our common oil, and very, very cool. Check this out right here. Have my own oil coming out here in the next month. A specific built drag and drive oil. There's a lot of things I talked to my buddy, the oil nerd, Bill, the oil nerd. Believe it or not, it was like, I was probably like 4 months before I knew his last name. I just always called him the oil nerd, and Bill for short. Bill Oil Nerd that's what it is in my phone, is Oil Nerd. So we have come up with our own little concoction, which is going to include a multi-weight 70. So isn't that going to be cool? A multi-weight 70, so like 2050, 30-ish 70. They're working on the formula right now, and some other really cool stuff all coming up. Going to be very, very, very cool. And it is going to be a very good specific build for the Dragon Drive. The drive is a problem. Big all race oils. Some race oils have some problems. All right, so we got this pump here. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this the best. Well, we'll let it suck through some of this here first, like on the pressure section. The pressure section is the one that I'm most concerned about because I don't have to draw a vacuum. But this should, in particular, draw more vacuum with your pump. If you make these scavenge sections better, more efficient, it should and would make more. Oop, almost had my finger in that. Oh, there you go. Would make more vacuum. All right, now
It's kind of cool looking.
it is. Here, we'll get all the oil in there. Oh, crap. I probably should have taken my ring off here, but all right. I'm turning this in the correct orientation. Now, if I block off this one here. Ooh, suck your finger in hard on the bottom. Interesting. All right. So that is lubed up.
Inside and out.
Huh? Inside and out. No bypass in it. We could actually put the bypass in it. And what it can also do is if we put I've done this before just for kicks and giggles. It doesn't do anything outside of just helping you set up the bypass. I can actually put a plug and a gauge on that pressure outlet and just have an inlet hose coming here. So it'd be just like it was on the engine, except that it would make it bypass all the oil. And that would tell you where your bypass spring is set up at. Plus or minus a little bit, because it's not exactly perfect because it's going to try bypassing more than normal. Now I'm trying to figure out what I do here. Let's see. I think I'll try to get the rest of the oil out. Actually, let me turn it over. So this is the suction side of the pump. You see which way they're turning? It sucks in that direction. Now you can, if I turn this backwards, it would actually suck from that side if I turned it backwards. But if I just flip this upside down and put the inlets on the outlets, it does not. If you flip the inlets around, you have to rotate it the other direction. All right. Well, I don't know exactly what I was expecting. I thought, well, I don't think I can like see a whole bunch of gray material there. I don't really see any gray material here. No. Looks pretty darn clean. So, all right. But it is definitely oiled up. It definitely is spinning pretty good. I mean, I can hold on to the pump with my hand. There's a little bit of, there's some tension to it for sure. I mean, I'm holding on to it tight. Obviously, I'm going to save this oil because it's like expensive. And so I'll pour that all back in and I'll let this thing drain right here. Just like Nate brought it up, because just like our buddies over at Snap-on, who I'm a diehard Snap-on guy, right? It's valuable. not expensive. So this oil, this oil, which is absolutely true, this oil, like my tools, are valuable, not just expensive. So I'm going to save this oil because it is valuable.
Good.
All right, so I got my valuable oil clean, but it wasn't a perfectly, I mean, this old container, but I don't see anything on there. That's interesting. So anyways, we're going to, now I got my oil saved here. Doesn't appear to be really anything in it. And I'll just let this settle for a minute and we'll just kind of see if there happens to be anything on the bottom. A little hard to see, but it doesn't really look like it right now. Let this pump continue to drain. I'll put my bypass in it. Let's take it back over to the bench and I'll put the bypass in it. And I had it set for that right there is when it's all the way in like that. Hot on hot at 2000 RPM. It is like 35 at 2000 RPM. Hot oil. Cold idling, this thing is usually like 60-ish, right around there. So when we do get this thing running, I'm kind of curious to see what it's going to make. Now the plunger, this is a plunger. Plunger goes down, pointy part down. Bink. Put your spring in there. Bink. This goes into that little top part of your spring. Bink. Like that. And this would be exactly what it was already set up as. So we'll start wiping this thing down. All right, so the next time you see this thing, it's going to be on the engine and running. Alrighty, so I got the base in here, engine, so now it's just hooking up stuff. Hooking up my wiring. My wiring harness is super cool because the entire harness is already on the engine. Just hooks up with that 1 mil-spec connector into the firewall, which is good. So I'm gonna lift this up. I'll tell you, these Challenger lifts, this one and the one that Kyle's on back over there, has just been sweet. So I'm gonna pick it up and just work on some of the undercar stuff. And just continue to work on this thing, and we'll get it started up here. And probably not tonight, probably tomorrow, because I got to put the turbos on. And when I don't have the charge tubes, anyways, I sent those out to Todd's Extreme Paint to get new paint on them since I had to modify them and cut them all up. I better call him, figure out where those are at. So I need those ASAP. Ding. All right, so I'm gonna get the got good converter spacing right there. Gonna hook up everything right through here. Never even took the transmission out, so that's cool. Just went 10760 foot, 416. Just freshen up the engine. Just made sure everything was all good. Looks like $1 million. You saw that. I'm just going to keep on hooking up everything underneath here. It's so much better being able to stand up underneath a car. It's crazy. But so I'm just going through and just going to nut and bolt and do everything in through here. So come see. I'm not going to get this started up on this video. Come back Thursday, because Tuesday, I will have it running by Tuesday. But Tuesday, 7 p.m., New Year's Eve, come back for, or all day New Year's Day. You can come back and watch the year-end review video, which I think is going to be pretty good. So Nate's been working on that. Been working on that. Ben's been working on that. So that's be pretty good. And then Thursday, we're going to do a startup on this. Going to check that oil pump. Going to check the turbos and see if it blows out like dust is what I'm thinking it's going to blow out and do. That'll be kind of neat and interesting looking. And and if you haven't seen it yet, you really should go back and look at the last video on Tuesday where this engine won't rev past 6,800 RPM. See what you think about that. Boost goes up, power goes down, won't rev. Anyways, I'm Steve Morris. Have a great day.